this could potentially be an active hurricane season for the United States. Now, let's recap. Last year, back in 2025, last time I recall, there was no impacts for landfalls for the Atlantic side of the United States for any hurricanes, which was a good thing. I know you guys down in Florida is happy about that. Now, in Georgia, South Carolina, and here in North Carolina. Now, they are warning that this could potentially be an active hurricane season with potentially more impacts on the United States. This is potentially could happen. We would never know the exact track for these tropical storms or hurricanes until they're formed. So just keep that in mind. We could get no landfall again for the east coast of the United States this year again. We just never know, but potentially there could be more impacts on the United States. So you guys that's in Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, here in North Carolina, and in Virginia, but the entire east coast in general, but the states that's more prone to hurricanes, especially Florida. And don't forget, you guys back in Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, and Texas, you guys got to be on alert too. And don't forget the west coast like California, Hawaii, you guys going to have to be on alert on potential hurricane impacts or tropical or strong or high-end tropical storms. So this is what the article reads from the New York Post. Again, multiple other sources is also reporting on the latest from the National Weather Service. I think that's who it is, for the hurricane. So let's go ahead and get into this outlook. So this article is being reported by the New York Post. Again, this article is being reported by the New York Post. It was published March 26, 2026 at 11:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, this was published March 26, 2026 at 11:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it says, hold on guys, this is getting my nerves right here. Lord of mercy. Millions of Americans urged to prepare for disaster as 2026 hurricane predictions revealed. Make sure your emergency supplies are stocked up. Again, millions of Americans urged to prepare for disaster as the 2026 hurricane predictions revealed. Make sure your emergency supplies are stocked up. So we go down in the article. Go ahead and read. Let me X this out right here. Atlantic hurricane season 2026 is afoot, and Americans are being urged to brace themselves ahead of the hubbub. AccuWeather is predicting 11 to 16 named storms. Again, AccuWeather is predicting 11 to 16 named storms, including 4 to 7 hurricanes and 2 to 4 major hurricanes. Again, including 4 to 7 hurricanes and 2 to 4 major hurricanes, which are category 3 or higher, according to the new reports. Preparedness is critical as 3 to 5 direct impacts on the United States are expected this year. Again, preparedness is critical as 3 to 5 direct impacts on the United States, well, on the U.S., are expected this year. I think that's the end of the article. Yep. Now, if I'm not mistaken, hurricane season do run from June 30th, or I think, yeah, June 30th. Or no, June 1st. Sorry about that. June 1st to November 30th, if I'm not mistaken. So you guys gonna have to make sure you have your prescription. If you are able to have prescriptions like months out, make sure you stock up on that. Of obviously water, gas, and all that other stuff, because you don't want to do it at the last minute when there's supposed to be a hurricane. Even if you don't have to evacuate, but if you have to evacuate, that's gonna be even worse because you know you're gonna have to travel. So gas gonna definitely be out much quicker, probably compared to staying indoors and stuff like that if you don't have to evacuate. So that's just something you guys gonna have to watch out for. So especially you guys on the East Coast, everyone on the every state on the East Coast should be prepared. But the main states that I'm focused on is Florida. Definitely you guys down there in Florida. Like, ain't no doubt about it. 9 times out of 10, most years you guys get hit with multiple hurricanes, high-end tropical storms, or even a low-end tropical storm can still cause a flooding, strong winds and stuff like that. It still cause problems, and tropical depressions can still cause problems there too. So you guys in Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, here in North Carolina, and in Southeast Virginia, and then all the way up north, you guys are prone to flooding and stuff like that from these hurricanes that weekends or tropical storms that weekends and just right up the coast. So, and I won't forget, I won't leave you guys out in Canada, Eastern Canada, for like the heavy rain that sometimes on some years make it there, depending on how strong that hurricane or a high end tropical storm is. So it can it can cause a lot of damage. So this year might be higher, but it's expected to be like a more active, I guess, hurricane season for the United States with 5 direct impacts of hurricanes. So this could happen on the West Coast. This could happen in the Gulf. This could happen on the East Coast. No doubt about it. Florida, you folks in Florida, I have a feeling you guys going to get hit would a hurricane or a high-end tropical storm out of any of these storms is going to be expected. There is expected 11 to 16 named storms for this 2026 hurricane season. So make sure you guys are getting prepared, staying vigilant. Pay attention to your local weather service, like your National Weather Service and stuff like that, the news and stuff like that, and be on the lookout. Because last year, again, last time I recall, there was no direct impacts of any tropical storms or hurricanes that hit the East Coast of the United States. West Coast, not too sure about, but the East Coast of the United States looked like we got lucky, especially you folks down in Florida. Now, I remember back in 2018, I live in North Carolina, Eastern North Carolina, right next to the Atlantic Ocean too, and we had to evacuate because of Hurricane Florence. Everybody probably heard about Hurricane Florence. Our city was you couldn't get into our city for like it was a whole week was evacuated because all the roads, everything was blocked off, trees underwater. There was deers just running through the water, people getting rescued on boats. And then back to I think 2024 when Hurricane Helene hit, Florida went up through Georgia, South Carolina, and into the mountains of North Carolina. We had a lot of rain, strong winds here on the coast, but luckily we got missed. But however, the mountains got hit hard until this day here in North Carolina. I-40 and in the mountains in North Carolina in general, is still recovering to this day from Hurricane Helene. I think there was a good amount of losses. A lot of people lost their homes, their RVs and stuff like that. Businesses, literally till this day, Western North Carolina is still preparing. I mean, still recovering from Hurricane Helene. Well, Tropical Storm Helene. I think it was a tropical storm when it made it to the mountains. However, mainly when a tropical storm hit us, it caused maybe like some trees and stuff to fall. But I guess because the coast probably more prepared for these type of situations. But since the mountains, I guess, is higher elevation stuff like that, and it's more mountains, you can't take that much rain. So if something like that happened again, like a hurricane or something, and it makes its way up to the mountains, if it happens this year, it's going to really put the mountains of North Carolina to the test and see how well can it hold up to it this time. It might cause, even worse situation. It might hold up and have not as much as bad as, well, damage as Tropical Storm or Hurricane Helene did in the mountains. But regardless, that was a devastating hurricane. We all remember her. Well, I don't think I was alive during Hurricane Katrina, or I could have, but a lot of you guys probably on this channel lived through Hurricane Katrina. I heard that was a devastating hurricane as well. So you guys gonna have to be prepared, and don't forget about you guys in Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, and Texas. Texas, you guys are prone to hurricane landfalls. Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, you guys are prone to. And again, I'm focused on Florida because Florida is mainly the hot target for hurricanes and high-end tropical storms, almost at a Cat 1 status for like hurricanes. So imagine if you get hit with a Cat 5 hurricane. Now Florida, this probably like really nothing to you guys. Yes, you get damage, people lose their lives and stuff like that. It's unfortunate, but imagine if you get hit with a Cat 5 hurricane. You don't really have much time. If it's known it's gonna be a Cat 5 making landfall, and if it's like expected to ride up the coast of South Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, if it lands on the eastern side, now if it lands on the Gulf side of Florida, it might be a different situation for the track. It could make a landfall there and go back out into the Atlantic. Some case and some there has been situations where it went back into, it made landfall on the Gulf side of Florida and went into the Atlantic, re-strengthened and ridden up the coast of Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina. So that's a possibility. But if it makes landfall on the western side of Florida and it just goes inland into like inland Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina, it's gonna really put Western North Carolina at risk for to see how well it can put the infrastructure and these homes and stuff can withstand this type of rain if it's like a higher end hurricane like a Cat 5 or something like that. So regardless, probably gonna have to evacuate them this time. Not gonna lie, even if it's like known that a tropical storm might hit the western part of North Carolina. I'm focused on North Carolina in general because it was just devastating to see the amount of impacts that happened just in the mountains. And this was, if I'm not mistaken, a tropical storm. And if you guys live in the mountains, this really shows North Carolina how is you really can't predict where these storms go, but you mainly focus on like the coast might be hitting with a tropical storm or high-end tropical storm or a tropical depression or a hurricane. I think North Carolina is ranked the 4th major state for hurricanes. Obviously, Florida is ranked number 1. So, and I won't leave you guys out there in the Caribbean. If you guys watching or in the Bahamas, you guys gonna have to be vigilant too, because hurricanes can. Sorry, I got a notification on my phone, so I got away. devastating for you guys too. Y'all are like an island. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit your notification bell to be notified each and every time I upload a new video. Make sure you do not wait till the last minute to prepare before this. I rather prefer start preparing now, before this upcoming hurricane season, and because it's approaching. We are already in spring. We already, what, first day of spring was March 20th, and before then, here in North Carolina, my city, we're not really prone to tornadoes. I don't think North Carolina is like prone to tornadoes like that. I mean, it's not like uncommon to hear like a tornado due to a severe weather event. But my city on the coast, we're not really prone to tornadoes now. Maybe in South Carolina, maybe Georgia, definitely Alabama, definitely Florida, definitely Mississippi, definitely Louisiana and Texas, out in the Midwest and stuff like that. You guys are more prone to tornadoes. Now, you guys out on the West Coast, I'm gonna leave you guys behind, but like Hawaii or California, Washington State, you guys gonna have to, Oregon, you guys gonna have to be on the lookout too. If y'all don't get hit with a hurricane, possible maybe a tsunami could happen from like a massive earthquake or something. We had that issue months ago. Towards the end of last year, if I'm not mistaken, there was a massive earthquake off the coast of Russia, prompted tsunami threats for Hawaii, California, Oregon, and Washington State. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell to be notified each and every time your boy upload a new video. And I will see you guys in the next one. If it's God's will, stay safe out there, stay prepared, stay vigilant. A lot of stuff going on. And with that being said, I will see you guys in the next one. It's Aronde out.